and I wanted to ask first about your specific research publications. So tell me more about that.
Well, yeah, it's really exciting. I've just got one paper accepted, and potentially there's a second one at the end of my PhD. It's really, really exciting.
So you get quite a bit of research then?
Well, like I said, it's just been accepted, so it hasn't been published. There's been no opportunity for readership.
No, where are you being published?
Top radiology journal, radiology.
Right, okay. I mean, you know, these kind of journals, they often like to have quite a diversity quota, and that's
sorry, this is Mary's interview. I'd just like to hear more about your publication.
I'm just saying it's really unacceptable what's going on here. I don't know what diversity has got to do with imaging in child abuse.
I'm just saying it's good to have one.
No, we'll listen to Mary. We can talk about it after. Mary, carry on. Thank you.
Just me.
I think it's really unacceptable. First of all, he kept interrupting me through my presentations. And now he's asking questions that I think are completely irrelevant to my PhD.
It just surprises me that the readership is there.
And I'm going to ask that my viva be repeated. I need a second opportunity because I haven't been given the chance to be the best that I can be at my interview.
I'm sorry if that's how you feel.
That is how I feel.
The question of the speaker, also a very well-known economist. He was Asian, by the way. So I'm assuming there was no race in this. He actually said in the lecture across the hall, that's worse than an undergraduate question that could be asked. Oh. I didn't believe I heard that right. So let's just be clear that some of these, that isn't even a microaggression, it's an aggression. And it's often uncertain where it's coming from. You know, it need not always be about the race or the sex or the whatever. I mean, there is a slight possibility that he didn't get on with my supervisor, but I don't know that that's the reason. But it was a big lecture hall, so it's not that he would have known me personally, and it's just that they feel they can say it, and...
Was it not power?
Sorry?
Was it not a power?
Yeah, it is a power. That's right. And, you know, it was potentially, I mean, one thing you can be sure, if you get that response, you've asked a tough question.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah. You don't have to know all the answers. He doesn't have to be rude to you because he doesn't know the answer. He could simply say, that's a really good question. I don't know the answer. I'll look it up and get back to you.
There's something that people feel challenged by something that's coming through with your work, that they feel like they need to respond in this way. And it's just really, disappointing.
On the panel discussion, we were talking about how there is sort of an onus. I was at a workshop and it was for consultancy and construction, and essentially it's like a field that's mostly dominated by white males, and it's like this bravado, like laddish banter. And one of the lads was saying he works for JBA, and they say that they don't do any panels that don't have any women on them. And then essentially that it brought up a memory, because I remember I was invited to a panel as an undergrad, and I remember my friends all saying to me, well, you know, why is it that you were invited and we weren't, type of thing. And in the back of my mind, whilst I was sat on that panel, there was a little voice in my head that was saying, am I qualified to be on this panel because of my merit and because I'm actually good at what I do? Or have I just been invited here because I'm one of the very few black students in this university? And that sort of like, it sort of just sat in the back of my head, and it made me feel like potentially other people who were watching the panel were thinking that as well, like, is she qualified to be here? Or have they just picked her as sort of the token sort of black woman to be on the panel? And at the organisation I work for, they have this scheme called Agents for Change. And I've been getting like bombarded with emails of like, when are you going to submit your submission for this Agents for Change campaign? And none of my other friends have gotten any. And they think that potentially we've made the joke, it's probably because I'm one of the few black people who work at the organisation. And they'd like to sort of put out this sort of diverse sort of look. So it's one of those things. The guy I was speaking to about the JBA panel, he called it positive discrimination, because he was basically saying, does that make you feel then that you are being discriminated against, but, you know, for getting opportunities that other people might not get for your end? And I found that really confusing, actually, because in one way I was happy to be sort of invited to this event, but also at the same time I was like, would I have been chosen purely based on merit if they didn't know my background, and if I wasn't one of the few people who could represent this minority group? So.